Beautiful November 4th. Past 10 o'clock over here, Eastern time. Do you know where your children are? You know, I'm thinking about just pinky in the brain stuff, you know? Regular pinky in the brain stuff. Like, how can I take over the world? You know, regular stuff. Mad scientist stuff. How exactly do we take over the world? As you can tell, no real topic today. Just checking in. Kind of like how I do with shorts. Spreading that good energy. And positive, inspirational energy at that. Because I'm not coming in here trying to bash anyone else. I'm not coming in here doing a whole bunch of venting. Because, you know, all of us could do that. We could vent all day about what the next person isn't doing for us in our lives. Or how something isn't going in accordance to plans. But me, right now, what I'm trying to bring in, when I talk about positive and inspirational energy, I'm just sharing what I'm doing. And hopefully it inspires others. Like, I'm thinking about, I owe 25 air squats, right? And then I got to start another 100, right? So the air squats are great because my legs are feeling firmer. You know, there's better shape. There's more density to the musculature. You know, and it happened quickly. I've only been doing this for like maybe 2 weeks. And I just started hitting weights again. And no, it wasn't the resistance. The resistance always adds in a powerful way. But it was actually the calisthenics. I can't say enough about resistance. Definitely positive. Definitely a whole bunch of benefits. Right? Very beneficial. However, there's the calisthenics. Like, ever since I've been doing air squats, and I get into streaks of doing air squats are amazing. Like, I don't have to do really much else. Of course, I'm gonna do everything else because I believe in body aesthetics, proper symmetry, full range, so there's equally nice and long muscles for however your body is structured. So I believe in those things, so I'm going to wind up doing other things, like lunges, you know, focus on hamstrings, focus on calves, all that stuff. Purpleette, what's up? And just make sure everything comes in nice. You know, I'll share a little story with you from yesterday, right? So I was in the park. I was in Kingsbridge in the Bronx, right? I'm in Yonkers right now, but I'm heading to the pier. Well, actually, I'm going to stay in Yonkers. So let's tour Yonkers for a little bit, you know? Oh, okay. Well, I mean, it looks pretty self-explanatory, you know, because purple is right there. It seems like a feminine ending. So I don't know how people would jack that up, like, unless they just don't know how to spell, you know, one of those things. But I'm in Kingsbridge in the park yesterday, right? Park is called, it's literally called the Playground. That's the name of the city park on Kingsbridge. Anyone from Kingsbridge, from the BX, you already know, like, where that is, right? So boom, I'm doing my little workout in the park, doing my thing. I'm doing everything, mind you. I'm going nut. Like I'm going legs, I'm doing squats, I'm doing Bulgarian split squats, I'm doing calf raises, I'm doing push-ups, I'm doing dips, I'm doing everything, right? So this guy comes up to me and first thing he says is, I'm homeless, right? So I'm like, in my head, I'm like, damn, what am I say to that? What do you want me to say to that? It's like, damn, it must be rough, you know? So make a long story short, this dude starts hitting on me, right? And like me, I'm not a homophobe. I'm not a homophobic person, right? And I'm very secure in myself. But in all honesty, Dickley does nothing for me. It just does. Like I've been hit on by men for I don't know, for very long. But some dudes like I'm so I'm so like sure of myself that like none of that bothers me. Like if I'm getting hit on by gay men, it's like, you know, in a sense, I almost feel like, okay, this is what women go through. You know, when men can't control themselves, right? So this dude and me, I'm not one of those like I'm a resort right to violence or be rude or yes, I like women. And I like femininity. I like, you know, everything about a woman. And I don't, like I said, I don't like Dickley. I don't like very hairy bodies and extra masculine voices and, you know, beards and like everything that I have, I don't want it to be on someone I'm interested in, right? It's just, that doesn't work for me. It does nothing for me. I get no stirs in my body, none of that, you know? But like I said, like I'm sure of myself. So I take it as like, okay, flattered, you know, that's like, let you be. You get out of line, you cross certain boundaries, and my boundaries may be different from the next man, right? So for me, it's like, I know what my boundaries are. And my boundaries are like, they're pretty blurred, so men feel like they can take it as near to those borders as they want to. But, you know, when it's time to check them, I will check them. But back to the story. So this dude is like, I guess more than anything, it was like my backside, right? He was concentrated because I was doing squats. This dude was like, yo, as the moments were going on, this dude was, I'm like, damn, for a homeless dude, you can't concentrate. You can't not calm down whatsoever. You know? All that rough shit was out the window when, you know, your hormones went on extra drive. And he was just like, yo, you ever try this? You ever think you want to do? I'm like, nah. Like I was swerving all of that because I was, like I said, I was going crazy on my workout. I was zoned. I was focused, zoning out. But this dude was extra read all about it, you know? And it was just, I'm in Yonkers, New York, Purple. I'm in downtown Yonkers, like near the square. Like I don't exactly know where you are, but this is Westchester County, New York. And oh, okay, cool. Must be nice. It's 51 degrees over here, and it's probably, I don't know exactly where in Florida, but if you're in the South, shoot, you're chilling right now. You know, it's a little chilly out here. But yeah, like I say that story because today, even though I had that little like distraction of this dude. Like I said, I was swerving him a lot for all the comments that were coming out of his mouth. Like, I don't care about comments. That's why I was saying, like, the border of crossing a line to me is like, you can say whatever you want. You can look, you can talk, all of that, but don't cross the boundaries that I have, right? And then you won't get checked. So after all that, like, I think about how nut I went on the workout, and it was like, yeah, I can do this again, and I can go even more nut today. Probably be a different park, you know, but I really enjoyed how I did everything. I was doing core, I was doing legs, I was doing glutes, I was doing calves, I was doing arms, I was doing back, upper middle back, shoulders. Like, what I need to hit today and make sure I concentrate, because I'm going to do 125 more squats minimum, but I want to make sure I do a lot of push-ups and a lot of handstand push-ups today, you know, because I gotta get that. Because like I said, from doing all these squats and Bulgarian split squats and deadlifts or Romanian deadlifts, etc., 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 like my legs are forming, but I need to blow out my shoulders a little bit more. I need to blow out and my back is forming because I'm doing a lot of pull-ups, but I need to do a lot more. Yeah, the squat, because I'm not, you know, when you do an air squat, when you get used to it, it's just like regular calisthenics for anything. Like if you do sit-ups, once, like when you start, it's like you'll feel like either aches or you'll feel like, damn, this is a little tough. But then when you keep going and it's been like days in a row, now it's like it gets easier and easier and easier, which sounds like common sense, but it's true. That's how calisthenics are in general. And then you find yourself having to do a lot more volume, you know, in order to, like, it's like you're building a tolerance and you have to do volume as you're progressing. So for me, I started at like, you know, I'm aiming to do 100 air squats every day. But now I'm like, okay, because now I'm doing jumping air squats. I'm like, it's getting progressively more challenging to get the same type of effect because it's getting easier and easier. So I got to incorporate some push-ups, handstands, and at least another 125 air squats. So I'm gonna do all of that, and I'm gonna keep doing my 250 calf raises because my calves are shaping pretty nicely, and I'm gonna make sure I do it off of like a stair or a step so that I get that little bottom extra, you know, range of motion instead of just doing it on a flat surface. This cop is in a rush right here. So we're gonna make sure we get all of that. And this T-Mobile store is still open. It's almost 11 o'clock out here. Interesting. But I'm going to make sure I pass that energy onward because, like I said, this is just a Wing It Live, but I'm still bringing that energy, right? I'm still bringing that inspirational and positive energy. Yeah, it is 10:41, but you know, I'm just saying, like a T-Mobile store is open and it's after 10:30, so it's one of those things. I was like, wow, why do they close at 11 p.m.? I don't know, like there's still spots open out here. But yeah, that's what the live was about. It was just basically passing positive, productive, powerful, inspirational energy as usual, making sure, you know, if you're on the wall about doing anything, you can make sure you tune in to places where they're passing that type of energy along, you know? It's it's good for us to check into places that feel comfortably positive, but at the same time, it's like there's a push of motivation. And I do it in a it's like this channel. Everything is kind of like not overly processed in a sense, right? That's why, like, I do my best to keep it as, like, if you're in Florida, right? Same time zone. And you live wherever you live in Florida, right? Let's say Sarasota or Naples, wherever you live, right? And it's like, me, I want to see the back roads in Naples. I want to see, like, the off-beaten path in Everglades City. I want to see, like, not the done-up tourist spots. And that's what this whole channel, as far as, like, us touring around all of these blocks, is about. Because if you're not from New York and you maybe heard of Yonkers, New York, I'm taking you through wherever. Literally, like, you come in and it's like, oh, I heard about this place in Yonkers. Okay, you want to go there? We go there right now. What place did you hear about in Yonkers? Or what place did you hear about in the Bronx? Because we're literally on the border of the Bronx right now, too. Matter of fact, I'll make a left right here, and we're in the Bronx. We're literally in the Bronx right now, right? So if you ever came in and caught me live, and it's like, what about this place called, I think it's called Gun Hill in the Bronx. Have you heard of it? Do you want to go to Gun Hill right now? Because I'll bring you to Gun Hill. We don't need to hear about it. We'll go there right now. And I would love for someone to do that as well. Maybe they get the inspiration to do it for their own channel. And I tune in and it's like, they're doing the same thing, but in Everglades City. That would be amazing. Because, someone from Ghana might have heard of a spot in the Bronx and they thought to themselves, damn, I may never go to New York or the United States or the Bronx, but I heard of this spot. I wonder what it's like. Well, wonder no more. If you so happen to tune into a live like this and you happen to say, yo, Bays, I heard about this place called Kingsbridge in the Bronx, New York, USA. Do you know anything about it? Let's go. Let's go there right now. So that's kind of like what this is about. There's a simplicity to it, but it's like a wing it type of not done up, but live, bringing positive and motivational energy. And we keep it as real as possible while we build a community together. That's what I think it's all about, at least on my end. And who knows? Maybe it catches on in the future. And it's like, yo, people start doing the same thing. That was my intention from the very beginning. It's like, what if people actually did that instead of like, and there's nothing wrong with this neither, but it's like the classic, postcard, Manhattan, Times Square, bright lights at 11 p.m. Okay, I see that a lot. But it's like, why don't, we go through the cut blocks of Midtown Manhattan that no one takes us through? Because they only go to, 42nd and Broadway, and it's like, you see where all the billboards are at, But we've seen that already. It's like, let's go to the cut blocks. Let's see the different areas that they don't ever shine light on, off the beaten path. And that's what this is all about. So anyways, I just wanted to check in quickly and take it on a ride as usual. We out here. Hopefully you hear me properly. I got a DJI mic 3 set up. Hopefully the sound quality is on point. We're in the Bronx right now, back and forth on Riverdale between the BX and YO. And I get a whole bunch of Q&A stickers that come up, and it's like something you always procrastinate on. How do I do this? Okay, good. So yeah, if the audio is good, we're at 32-bit float. The quality should be good. I really like this mic, by the way. Fort Myers. Yeah, I used to, there was a time when I think Fort Myers was like, I had a dealer from out there, and I was buying like wildlife from out there. But yeah, hopefully your days are well. I think fondly of Florida, actually, because the climate in Florida, and it's not for everyone, because there's going to be people that have their own opinions, but the climate in Florida is that of none other, in my humble opinion. Like, in the continental states, there's no other state, especially southern Florida. There's no other place in the U.S. that has a climate like Florida. I'm not talking about Hawaii. I'm talking about the continental states, right? So, no, Southeast Texas doesn't have it. Southwest California doesn't have it. Southern Mississippi, Southern Alabama, Southern Louisiana, none of them have it. Southern Georgia, none of them have it. It's just something that is the closest thing that the U.S. has to a truly subtropical climate. Like, on the East Coast, we have subtropical summers, but to nearly have a subtropical climate all year round is southern Florida. Like Florida City, Homestead, Miami, Dade, Broward, West Palm Beach. Like, these are all Naples, that region. They're all completely subtropical. And if you go down to the islands at the bottom, it's slipping my mind right now. The 5 islands at the bottom, right, that are Florida, those are bordering subtropical, tropical, like actually, truly tropical. Florida is subtropical. And then as you get close to the Florida Keys, you're getting to actual tropical. So if you go to like the southernmost tip of the Florida Keys, that's as close as possible to actually being in a fully tropical landscape year round. Nowhere else in the U.S. has that. So that's why I'm fond of Florida. And yeah, of course, there's humidity, there's bugs, I'm sure. But like, I've been to Florida a few times. But out here, look, I'm a tropical blooded person genetically. So DNA wise, I think it's one of those things. So I get cold, and I'm not heavy in weight, so that doesn't help. So we're in November right now, In another 6 weeks, it's gonna be brick out here. It's not gonna be 52 degrees at 10:51. It's gonna be very cold. Although it's much warmer in the Bronx than it is in Clinton County, New York, bordering Canada for sure. And I'm grateful for that. My parents made that move. It first moved to Albany. That's where I was born and raised, by the way. And then moved to Yonkers, So it's one of those things. What's November, Purplet? You be gone to November? What's actually in November? But I'm grateful for being in this, this comes up again, but the southern part of New York, yeah, I was talking about how it's November right now, but in another 6 weeks, it's gonna be really cold out here, So November it'll be 50 degrees at almost 11 o'clock, but in 6 weeks, shoot, as soon as we start January 2026, yeah, it's gonna be really cold out here. Like, you might have it still be like 50 degrees at night, but it might just be 25 degrees over here, and that's a major difference. There's a major difference between 45 and 55, and there's a major difference between 55 and 65 at night when there's no sun. So you can imagine the difference between 50 and 25 at night with no sun, especially if there's a breeze. Oh no, we are in Shiver Town. So yeah, I just want to thank you for checking in. I don't want to keep your time too long, but Wisconsin, you just went from sunny Florida to, I was just talking about how cold it gets here in southern New York in the wintertime, and you're going to one of the coldest. Sheesh. Wisconsin is, yeah, you know what? I'll tell you one thing. Those folks out there speak proper English. They speak English with like no accent. Yeah, they might have a little not country, but like, I guess it's like northern country, It's like farm country. It's not like southern country, right? There's a difference. But northern country is like, they speak that proper English. That's for sure. Like, sometimes people gig on me because they come in, they hear me for the first time, and they think I have some sort of accent, So I speak proper English too, but it's just I speak differently than, I guess, a Wisconsinite would. But oh, okay, that's cool. So then you're used to it. So that's a crazy difference to go from something that cold to that warm. That is pretty nuts. Okay. So you're going to school in Florida. So are you going to college? Are you doing college life out in Florida, and then you go back home to Wisconsin? Is that what you're saying? That's what it sounds like. Yeah, I could imagine. Shoot. It must have been like, wow, that is. Oh, okay. fifth grade checking in. Listen, we don't discriminate out here. So, homeschooling, I think there's a lot of parents out here that would agree, especially nowadays, you know? And I'm not talking about like actually younger parents, but I'm talking about open minded parents that think about the benefits of homeschooling. I think there are a lot of parents would agree that homeschooling is like probably very powerful. But, you know, it requires a certain level of effort that is, you know, I'm not saying parents are lazy, but I'm saying that effort required to homeschool is is a whole nother ball game. And I think that's why parents don't do it. But I think there would be a lot of parents that actually are open-minded to engage in homeschooling, you know? So, yeah, good for you. I hope you have a safe trip after your year is up, going back to Florida. And okay, cool, cool. Yeah, I think a lot of folks would agree that homeschooling is pretty awesome. And I actually know some parents that are that's what they do. Their kids have been homeschooled. So, yeah, good for you. But with that being said, I think a half hour is a good amount of time. And I'm going to end right here. You know, I want to appreciate the check-in, and I'm gonna end there. I might do another live later on. We'll see. It's late, but like I said, I'm gonna do a lot of squats, a lot of work, you know, shortly. And thanks for checking in. Until next time.